Wow, there is so much praise that I can give for this one. Man, wow. Shoot, what a wake-up call. No pun intended. Seriously though, I gotta hand it to the writers. This was really neat. It was, from the moment that I saw a preview clip of this thing, I was thinking it had promise, you know? I mean, the cute scene of Apple Bloom and Applejack, you know, and Applejack is trying to calm Apple Bloom down about her cutie mark worries and blah 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 blah. But when I saw that scene, I figured, how interesting, because it wasn't about the sisterly nature going on, because we've seen that. It's more about what she was saying. She was mentioning things that I didn't even know the show would even mention. She was, you know, mentioning concerns that I figured were just going to go by the wayside. For example, what if one of them gets the cutie mark before the others? You know, that's something that I was considering way long before this episode. I'm pretty sure almost all of us have thought about that. But it was never mentioned in the show until now. So, right off the bat, that surprised me. So, when I actually started to watch the episode, I'll admit, I had high hopes. And those hopes were fulfilled. And it's funny because I don't even really like the Cutie Mark Crusaders very much. They're just kind of there, and, you know, they're cool, and I've grown to actually, you know, they've grown on me. But, you know, I never was a hardcore CMC fan or anything like that. But this episode just so nicely did everything. And it's one of those episodes that was written so well that it felt longer than it actually was. It's only 20 minutes, and it just felt like so much time had gone by. I felt, you know, felt like I was watching something a lot longer than just 20 minutes. I mean, it was really, really well done. So I guess before I get into, you know, my opinions on the whole episode piece by piece, I gotta give credit to the writer. Who was it? Josh Haber, I believe? Let me see, wait. Yep, Josh Haber. As I expected. And you know, it's funny, because if I'm not mistaken, he also wrote the whole Castlemania one in season 4, and when I watched that episode, I mean, I'll be honest. When I saw Castlemania, I figured, you know, like most people, I figured, it was just a stupid little, you know, Scooby-Doo-esque kind of thing. Like, they were trying too hard to have that whole mysterious things happening all over the place kind of deal. But one thing that I noticed about that episode that made me highly respect it is that all of the characters' personalities seemed pretty intact. I was impressed by the way that the writers, well, you know, I guess Josh Haber, how the writers handled all of the characters' personalities. I mean, what the heck, man? It was just really good. Alright, so I might actually be freaking out a little bit too much. I don't know if it was like super duper awesomely super cool, but it was still good nonetheless. I mean, I was fairly satisfied with all of the characters' personalities in that, you know, episode, which is, you know, hard to say all the time, because usually I'm really iffy on some of them, and I go, I don't know if this character should have been this way, and I don't know if this character should have acted this way, and I'm not supposed to be reviewing Castlemania. But anyway, so Josh Haber, I was already looking forward to seeing more work by him, and I can say that now I've finally gotten it, I am happy with it. I am fairly satisfied with this. You go, Josh Haber. You're fitting to be one of my favorite writers on the team. So, in the first scene, we're already in just the first scene, everything's going fine, and then I was really surprised to see that Babs got her cutie mark. I mean, that's crazy. And it's a pair of scissors. Who knew, right? I mean, dang, I'd love to see how she turns out to be, but it's a shame that we'll never see her, you know, cutely covering her flank with her tail anymore. And then they actually mentioned, you know, about how she can't be a Cutie Mark Crusader anymore, and Apple Bloom finally realizes, wow, herp, I never thought of that. So we immediately get this insight that we never got. We immediately get characters realizing something that we thought maybe they wouldn't even realize, just like I mentioned earlier. So I was like, wow, a great start to the episode. You know, for me, I can't help it. I look at those tiny things. Shut up. So in this first, am I the only one who noticed, I mean, I only noticed this second time through, but am I the only one who noticed that Apple Bloom, like, threw her covers off violently, like, twice, and Applejack had to tuck her in, like, 3 times, and she never even complained or anything? it's like, I don't even know anymore. Shh, 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 it'll be okay. Fram! What if I don't like my cutie mark? Shh, 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 Fram! What if nobody likes me? Shh, 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 shh. It'll be okay. And then, Applejack just randomly makes up a song on the spot for this specific occasion and somehow makes it rhyme and everything. Like, she's seriously talented. Actually, alright, all jokes aside, considering Apple Bloom, thinks about her cutie mark all the time, I wouldn't be surprised if a song like that was made up beforehand. But, I guess that's looking into it too much. But, I don't know, it seemed pretty specific to the situation, so I'd assume that it's actually just made up on the spot, like I said. First super noticeable animation error. It's great that we actually get to see how Apple Bloom would react if she really got her cutie mark, screaming and shaking Applejack around and, smiling a lot, and, it was cute. I'll be honest, when I first saw this, I thought it was some kind of, apple tree extermination thing, like she was supposed to be, killing the apple trees with, some kind of pesticide or something. I had no idea it was pest control. I just assumed it was something terrible being done to the apples. I don't know, maybe it was just me. Did anyone else think that? I did. Another thing, Twittermites. Obviously Apple Bloom has never heard of these before, so I assume that maybe it's just a creature she made up in her dream, but knowing My Little Pony, they're probably going to include it as a real thing anyway, even though that makes no sense. Technically you could say that Princess Luna might have included it, because Princess Luna's been watching, but anyway. Also, this brings an interesting point. When Apple Bloom loses the cutie mark because of the weird pony shadow thing, and then all of a sudden she's bad at pest control. It makes you think that your cutie mark dictates your talent, not your talent dictates your cutie mark. And I think the whole point was that your cutie mark was supposed to resemble your talent, not the other way around. It was evident in the cutie pox that the more cutie marks that Apple Bloom got, the more things that she could do. But does that mean that immediately getting a cutie mark will, make you good at something? No, it's not necessarily the case. Look at Scootaloo. Scootaloo's really good on her scooter, and Sweetie Belle's already really good at singing. It's obvious that they're going to get their cutie marks for those talents. So, the cutie mark will represent the talent, not the other way around. I'm just gonna let this slide, because I know it's Apple Bloom's dream, so whatever. Nothing really makes sense. But just for the record, I figure the talent would dictate the cutie mark, not the other way around. And there's evidence to support this, because the main six actually had their cutie marks switched around. They didn't immediately gain those talents from getting the cutie marks. They were still really bad at those things. Anyway, more on that later. Maybe I'll just have a cutie mark analysis video or something. But anyway, this is also where more serious stuff goes on. Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon continuing to ridicule Apple Bloom for having a cutie mark that, isn't good enough or whatever. And then that crazy invasion that makes all these ponies run in fear, and, Applejack is sitting there telling him to come on, and everything, and then she gets her home destroyed. Not that they haven't had that destroyed many times and had to raise it again, but that's not the point. Even to the point of Apple Bloom saying that the two girls were the worst and everything and running off. She doesn't usually defend herself against them very well or whatever. It was also great the way they woke her up by being shocked by the Twittermites. That looks like a pretty accurate way to be shocked out of a dream. I know how that feels. And then there's that scene where Apple Bloom even mentions, well, I thought we were gonna get our cutie marks together. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's pretty unrealistic, considering all of you probably have completely different talents in completely different areas. What are the odds of all of them, figuring them out at the same time? Like I said, really glad this episode said something about that. And I loved the emotion of this scene, especially when Scootaloo said, and I don't even think we're supposed to be friends. And, Apple Bloom's shocked reaction and everything. That was golden. All of it was just golden. And once again, there's a scene here where there should be a cutie mark on Scootaloo's flank, but of course there isn't, and then later she says she actually has one, and like I said, I'm just gonna boil it down to the fact that it's a dream and nothing makes sense, so whatever. Okay, I know they were trying to hide it behind her wig and everything, but come on! There's so much blank space there. What kind of cutie mark could she possibly have if it's up in the top left corner of her flank? I don't know. And Apple Bloom covering her flank with her tail like Babs does, and, rubbing her arm with her hoof and everything. That was adorable. That goes hand in hand with the face she made in season 1. And she was so scared about waking up the third time, too. I guess I would be as well. Although, I was kind of expecting her to check if she had a cutie mark right then and there, but, the fact that she did the next time was okay. And I love how we get to hear more of Big Mac, by the way. And you know what? This is where the episode starts to get kind of creepy. And I think that's a good thing. Because I think that means that the writing did its job. I mean, it goes dream creepy to the point of, the characters sort of switching voices and stuff like that. Really strange stuff. And that sounds, that's actually surprisingly accurate for some stuff that can actually go on in a dream or something. I mean, I thought that was pretty believable. And this is where she actually checks for a cutie mark. And then some weird junk goes on, and she even gets her own face on her flank and junk. And, by the way, if nobody else noticed, when she was running out the door, her cutie mark was a door. I'd say that was pretty comical, actually. And that face is one of the creepiest faces I've seen in My Little Pony. It was so nice to see Luna show up, too. I was waiting for her the whole episode, because all of us pretty much predicted it. And I'm gonna admit, one thing about this episode is that when I heard Apple Bloom say, "So it doesn't matter what cutie mark I get," gee, that sounds an awful lot like what Applejack just told you before you went to sleep. And I found it interesting that both Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo began their dreams with the talent that we know that they're probably the best at. It's like they know deep inside that that's what they're good at. Like they know that's what they love, and maybe that's what they want to get a cutie mark in or something like that, but they figure it's not going to happen because maybe they haven't already gotten it, or... Jeez, I don't know. There's so many speculations that can be had from just this one little part, but... And by the way, it looks like the whole DJ Pwn 3 Octavia scene isn't from episode 100. Go figure. And by the way, I'm a fan of the whole Scootaloo probably can't fly idea because it gives her more depth as a character, but at the same time that flying scene was so cute, I have to admit. Maybe it's actually cuter because I know she can't fly in the real world. And by the way, pancakes are a thing. So overall, this episode was a hit. In my opinion, I think it was a hit. I also think that this episode was better than Castle Sweet Castle, personally. So anyway, that was great. Catch you guys later. This is Nat, and I hope to be doing more of these. So yeah, enjoy.